Dad signed up for World War II, and when he got back, Grandpa had sold his share and his son's share.
Something about the moving industry, it gets in your blood.
When I got involved to it at a young age, Western was everything.
To come into a family with so much history and legacy, and it's pretty incredible what they've been able to accomplish.
I signed a lease for 10,000 square feet and said to myself, holy shit, what have I done now? My grandfather came out from Prince Edward Island in 1906 on a harvester's pass and got involved in the business. At the time it was known as the drayage business, where they would have basically a horse and wagon back up to a rail car, unload the rail car, and then make the respective deliveries.
My grandfather, Silas, started working for Western Transfer and then eventually bought it. And then eventually he sold Dad 10%, and they were about going ahead, and then Dad signed up for World War II, and when he got back, Grandpa had sold his share and his son's share. So he didn't know what he was going to do, so he went to work for the new owners. And Dad, he wanted to get it back into the family, and then he bought it.
I knew as a kid growing up, I was always going to come into the moving business. My dad had a rule: when you turned 13, the allowance stopped, and what you made over the summer at the company, that was to last you until Christmas.
So I rode my bike down to Western one day, it wasn't that far, and asked the superintendent, Roger Bullock, if he had any jobs. And he said, yeah. As soon as Dad got back from his holidays, he found this out and he fired me. So, because I was only 14.
I've seen pictures of the newsprint being delivered by horses to the Journal. The reason I know it so well is when one of those dudes went on vacation, nobody else wanted the run, so the old man's kid had to take the run, and it was a toughie. I do recall vividly that it did cost me a couple of mirrors, because I really wasn't that good of a driver in those days.
It was a great place to start working at. We both went to the same high school, Ross Shepherd High School, together. So yeah, we knew each other for 5 years. Ted and I started to go out. So yeah, we got married about a year after we started going out.
I started in typing waybills for commercial storage, and then eventually moved up to president of the company when Dad retired.
We think it was 1976 when my brother and I, Rick, bought the company from Dad, and then in 1990 we sold the company.
Ted went to work for another company for a year, and then after he'd been there for a while, and he said, you know, something's missing. I miss the moving industry. And it was at that time I said, then let's go for it.
October the 17th, 1995, I signed a lease for 10,000 square feet. Walked in with keys to the warehouse, opened the door, and said to myself, holy shit, what have I done now?
When we started, it was a 10,000 square foot warehouse with nothing in it.
I first opened up with 10,000 square feet, and then an opportunity in the same complex came available about 3 years later for 40,000. And me being the ever optimist, I said, sure, we'll take that space, and probably a year later we had it full.
We had to manage that growth to make sure, you know, I'm a conservative, so you know, I'd say, well, we better not do that, you know, slow growth that you could manage.
When I got involved to it at a young age, Western was everything, because it was my family. I would hear about it at home in the evenings. I would go there during the day, and so at a very early age, I realized that there was something special about you know, a family being in a family business.
When Sean did finally come on board and he said, I think this is what we should do. We should expand and get into, you know, document storage and shredding. So at that point in time, we said, you know what? We don't have the energy to do that. So we want you to come to us with a business plan. And he did, a very good business plan. And we said, okay, let's do it.
We started our record storage and shredding business in the early 2010, 2011 area. And you know, that really set us on a cool path.
He's got the guts. Quite evident when we made the decision to purchase Matco Moving Solutions. I wouldn't have had the guts to do that.
It's not very often that the little fish eats the big fish. It's not very often, and we talked about this at great length before going down that path, but we knew of the people and we knew of the business that was Matco. The thought of working with all those people that we knew and we'd had so much respect for was really, really attractive.
I've had good workings with Ted and Carol and Sean, and I thought that was the best fit in terms of an acquisition for Matco, for United, and I believe even for Western.
With our acquisition of Matco Moving Solutions, you know, we've gone from 23 employees to well over 200. You know, Carol and Sean are involved on a daily basis, and I'm involved at what I call the 100,000 foot level. But we want to make sure, do our best that every move is a great move. And if it's not, then we fix it. We make it right.